How's it going, everybody? Base Jorts here with some War Thunder gameplay. Haven't posted a War Thunder game yet, excuse me. So I figured I would get some War Thunder footage if I can. Going to be trying to play the T32, and the T32 is a Tier 5 battle rating 7.3 American heavy tank. It was a prototype heavy developed towards the end of World War II, but didn't make it time to see service. And after the end of the war, when a heavy tank wasn't needed anymore, the project was scaled back considerably. They built, I want to say, 8 or 9 of these things, and basically they were used as test beds for future developments. And I think the end of the line, or the end of the project, turned out to be the M103 heavy tank. So yeah, let's go ahead and look over the T32. As you can see, it looks very similar to the Pershing, the M26. That's because the designers used the Pershing chassis and scaled it up to make as many components shareable, I guess you could say, between the two, so that it reduces the complexity of the supply chain. Logistics and stuff like that during a war are very, very critical. You got to have enough supplies and parts and ammo to be an effective fighting force. So the more parts you can share, the more common parts you have between 2, 3, or 4 vehicles, the better off you'll be, because it'll make logistics much simpler. So yeah, this is a more or less scaled up M26 Pershing. The gun is the T15E2. So let's go ahead and look at the modifications and the gun performance. The stock shell is the T43 solid AP shell. As you can see, it does well. 217 millimeters of penetration at 10 meters, 186 at 1,000, and 164 at 2,000 meters against flat armor. The issue is, as with most American tanks shooting the solid shot, is the post-damage effect is negligible. It flies straight through, and you really have to snipe modules or crew using the T43. So I recommend researching around it as fast as possible and getting the M82 shot. And I use the M82 as my primary shell. It is a armor-piercing capped ballistic cap explosive-filled shell. So that means it has the shell body, an armor-piercing cap pressed over that. So it's usually a hardened steel made of or some kind of alloy, and then the ballistic cap is a windscreen that makes the bullet much more aerodynamic, or the shell much more aerodynamic, so that it retains velocity and kinetic energy downrange. So you lose a little bit of penetration, but of what you lose in penetration, you more than make up for in post-pen damage. So as the shell penetrates, it has a fuse in the base that is set by the impact with the armor of the tank, and that starts the fuse burning. And a set distance or set time after this, the fuse is lit, it lights the charge in the base of the shell and basically throws fragments of the shell at high velocity inside the tank. It's basically a flying grenade. So I use this primarily if you know the weak spots of the tanks you face. It's more than enough penetration, and you could generally one-shot tanks or do substantial damage and clean up the kill with another shot. I primarily carry this mostly, and then I mostly carry this the M82 shot, and then I do carry some of the T44 APCR, armor piercing composite rigid. And basically what this shell is, it's a an alloy body with a tungsten rod in the middle, and the alloy body is made to be substantially lighter than a standard shell, so that the muzzle velocity is much higher, and it carries basically a sub-caliber tungsten rod downrange at extremely high velocities. And when the round hits a tank, basically the carrier, or the aluminum, or not, I don't know if it's aluminum, but it's probably a soft steel body is stripped away, and it leaves the tungsten core to penetrate. And what that does is, because the tungsten core is substantially, or not substantially, it's a good bit smaller than the full diameter of say the M82 shell, for example, it can penetrate much more armor more easily. So as you can see, it goes from 204 millimeters at 10 meters to 270 millimeters at 10 meters, and it carries that penetration out to 2,000. It's about 100, almost 200 millimeters of penetration at 2,000 meters, which is good. But again, the issue is, because the rod of tungsten is solid, you have to snipe the crews with the APCR, similar to the T32 shot. The spalling damage is just not substantial enough to take out modules or to take out crew in the area as it flies through the tank. So again, you're reduced to sniping shots and picking off different modules or crew and hoping you do hit ammo and set off one of the racks. So I generally save this for tanks that are hard to penetrate. So like the T55 upper slope. Let's see. I don't know. I mean, I really don't use this. I think I can't remember the last time I actually needed to use it. Most of the time, I'm able to find a weak spot and use the M82 shot to punch through. Just because, like I said, the post-penetration damage is such that it more than makes up for the lack of penetration, and it really is the round to use for this tank. I mean, you're kind of you're really wasting your time with the 243. I don't even carry any high explosive, so this is my primary round. I use it almost entirely, and then I carry a few of the T44s. So let's go ahead and look at the armor. And immediately you can see the turret is very, very strong. Specifically the mantlet. The mantlet is 300 millimeters of cast armor. So I think with the modifier is 0.94. So basically you take the thickness, you multiply it by 0.94, and you get the effective thickness. So let me do that math real quick. It should be like 280 or something. So 299 times 0.94 is 281 millimeters. Effectively, it's 281 millimeters. And as far as I know, there is no armor-piercing shell that'll get through this. Now, some of the armor-piercing discarding sabot will get through this. The heat FS will fly straight through this, and the ATGMs, basically they're heat FS with a rocket attached to it, so they'll go straight through that. The turret cheeks, they used to be a weak spot, but they addressed the armor model, and as you can see, that's effectively stronger than the mantlet itself, which is ridiculous. So 364 millimeters of effective thickness on the turret cheeks, and that's the flattest spot, and as you approach the side, it just becomes ridiculously thick. Now, as with most American heavy tanks, the upper plate is not so overpowered. It's decent. 200 millimeters effective thickness, 127 millimeters at 54 degrees. So not a lot can get through that at the same battle rating. But like I said, with this tank, you get up tiered a lot. So like last round I was playing, and a T10 punched straight through this and knocked me out. So if you can, just get a nice hill or rock or something to cover this, and you'll be in a very good position. You really need to cover the lower plate. I mean, that is a massive weak spot. And unfortunately, if you look at the x-ray right here, there is basically the entire ammo load is right behind the lower plate. So if you take a shot through here, you're pretty much dead. And another unfortunate thing is, with this tank, the Pershing layout, the transmission is in the back. So the engine is in the middle, the transmission is in the back, it drives the rear sprocket. So there's nothing in front to absorb the shell damage or any fragments of a shell coming through. You know, like the King Tiger, the German tanks, they have that transmission right here. So if you do punch into the lower plate, the transmission is going to eat that shot and most of the fragments. So yeah, you can knock out the transmission, set it on fire, but you're not going to come flying straight through into a massive ammo rack and detonate the tank. So play on the T32, keep the hull as covered as possible, and you'll be able to take some damage as long as it's not, like I said, heat FS, ATGMs, or APDS. So yeah, further along the side, obviously do not get shot on the side, because big ammo rack, fuel tanks, ammo everywhere in the turret. And yeah, so I mean, if you stay low, this tank can take damage, but let's see, what is it, 76 millimeters? Let's say, yeah, 76 millimeters of armor on the side, not much. 50 on the back, so do whatever you can to not get shot inside and avoid exposing this as much as possible. Alright, so let's go ahead and get in a game, try to take this out, see if we can do some damage. And you know, it's disappointing because this tank used to be very good, but with the changes they've made to its battle rating and tier, it definitely struggles to compete. But it can compete, you just have to work a little hard for it. So let's go ahead and get in a game and see what we can do. Alright, and we're back with T32, so let's take it out, playing battle mode on the map Poland. So hopefully we're not up tiered, because this tank does not do well when it's up tiered. So let's see how we do. Yeah, well, there's one M103, so good, an IS-3, which means we have been up tiered. One of the ways I've found to still effectively play the T32 is to get into a good flanking position. And, you know, unfortunately, flanking in a heavy tank is much easier said than done. So, make some shots across the map, see if you can get into position and return fire. One thing I've noticed is it doesn't seem like a lot of people use the binoculars. They're a great tool to use. You can scan the area without rotating the turret back and forth. It gives you a higher perspective, so you can look over bushes and rocks and stuff like that. And I believe it's a higher magnification than the gun sight. So like I was saying, use your binoculars, hotkey them on something you can easily reach. I have them on one of my mouse buttons, and use them to your advantage.
Taking the initiative.
Let's go ahead and push up next to this M103, see if we could engage some targets. There's a T32 SLA. There we go. Not the 105. Now the 90mm cannon still can do pretty well. It's a very flat shooting, but just doesn't have the punch to get to the front of the tanks you're facing anymore. And, you know, when you're playing a heavy tank, you're expected to be pushing and taking damage for your team, but this one just really doesn't do it.
Effort and victory will be ours.
I hear the mouse. I just don't see it. Amazing with how to tank that big. The 128mm gun on the mouse. The Yag Tiger makes a very distinct sound in this game. What are they shooting at over here? I'm going to push down. It is a Yak Panther. Fortunately, we can go through his armor. Shot a little high. Nice shot by the IS-3.
Reloading.
Had a close call with the bomb. Close. Right, now the problem's running.
The enemy.
Yeah, there are two guys up. We're exposing ourselves to their spawn. So we gotta be careful here. Something come up, so let's go ahead and push and see what we can get a shot off of. Right into the transmission. Good, better angle at him. Let's get one more to the transmission.
Yes, a hit.
Come on, man. Got the tree in the way. And thanks for taking my kill, buddy. Feel sorry for that guy who take out a Panzer III. Not gonna last long in the Panzer III. So we're gonna go ahead and take the cap.
Allied forces have captured a zone.
And that should do it for the T32. So, as you see, I mean, it still can be competitive. You just gotta get into a good position, make good shots,
Let's keep the pressure
and
on.
hope you don't.
Victory is close.
There's somebody else over here. What in the world? Alright, well, there you go. I think that was an okay demonstration of the T32 as it is now. As you can see, you know, you gotta pretty much relegate yourself to a sniping role, which not a lot of people find exciting. But I don't mind adjusting my play style to fit the vehicle, so I still try to take the T32 out, and I enjoy myself when I play it, unless I get absolutely wrecked, which does happen. So, like I said, you know, it can be competitive. It's just not as good as it used to be. I think it's too high, and too high of a battle rating, too high of a tier. So it's really not an effective heavy tank at the place it's at. So I don't know, maybe they could drop back down to 7.0, but leave it as a tier 5. I'm not sure how that'll adjust the matchmaking, or I don't know. I mean, even a lot of people say 6.7 is just too low for the tank, but you know, with the state of the American heavy lineup, considering the fact that the T29 is a premium, the Super Pershing is just a up-armed Pershing, and the M13 is so high up in the battle rating and the tech tree that it really just isn't competitive down low. You can't even bring it out very low. So there's a big hole in the heavy lineup, and I feel like something needs to be addressed. But anyways, thanks for watching, and I will try to get War Thunder content out as often as I can. I'm trying to balance War Thunder, World of Warships, and the Battlefield 1 beta as it is right now. So that I believe the Battlefield 1 beta goes through next week sometime. So I will try to record all 3 of those games as much as possible and keep posting. So thanks again. If you like the video, like and subscribe. Help me get some more views. And share with your friends. So this is Bates Jorts signing out.